Processing damage. Motor functions intact. Cogitator intact. Voice module. Limited operation. Adjusting voice synthesization. Adjusting voice synthesization. Adjusting voice synthesization. Acceptable voice found. Thank the Emperor. You are all right, girl. And it seems we are out of danger, for now. I suppose we should resume the story then. Where were we? Yes, in a cult base, where Elysians just took care of Iwe and some other heretics manning the cannons. Round the whole place, just opposite from Cannon Cell 1, there was a brief interest survey happening. It was laboriously conducted, by screaming directly into each participant's ear in order to get the message around in a head-exploding noise. The survey was finally ending, favorably for the idea of visiting Carl's crew. At the same time, a new survey was taking place, started by the first cultist who realized that someone should stay here to keep guard, and conducted by elbowing one's way towards the crew's exit. What such a practice would eventuate among a number of wildly partying acid heads does not need to be explained. Suffice it to say that Kauri, lightly treading around the door at that very moment, was not in a very healthy position. The door smashed, the stunned trooper hit the ground, and in the next moment, as a surprised cultist was the first one to leave the room, he became the first one to get shot as the rest of the Overwatch group opened fire. Not last though, that's for sure. Any rookie from some backwater world PDF could not miss here. Not to mention the famed Elysian marksmanship. The problem was, in a space this tight, and using their already dead comrades as shields, it didn't take much time for the scum to get into a not-so-glorious melee, where their numbers counted more than precision.
Star Overwatch here, engaging numerically superior enemy, requesting support.
There's your leader here, closing on you with the whole squad. Hang in there, man. Prima leader, Oscar Mike.
Busy talking to his fellow cultists, Bo was not the fastest to move when the whole cannon cell started rushing to the hallway. That is why he survived long enough to pull out his jagged machete, and, after some crowd-induced accidents, he was finally able to swing it at an enemy. More particularly, at the one rolling on the ground in an attempt to evade being trampled down by the brawling mob. He hit a rock instead when his own comrade unknowingly shoved him aside. He shoved him back and swung again, this time hitting brownish carapace. Impacting armor, the poorly designed weapon reverberated so strongly it almost fell from his grip. But almost dropping things wasn't anything new to him. He recovered quickly and attacked again, this time aiming at limbs. The previously dazed Kauri, because that was him still on the floor, was already coming to his senses. Seeing that standing up was currently not an option, he decided to bring the fight to his level. The guy lashing at him with a crude machete was too fast. That would not work. Fortunately, there were plenty of other targets to choose from. The corporal rolled again, ramming himself into Daniel's opponent, and grabbed both legs of that wretch, toppling him down on Bo in mid-swing. Cursing horribly, Bo wrenched the blade free from the tattooed skull of his late companion, and knocked the body away, but that cost time. Time which allowed Kauri to get into position for an improvised scissor takedown from below, and he utilized it smashing him. Sure, Daniel's shot missed Bo's head because of it, so some Munitorum clerk might say it was wasteful. However, having a head cracked open on solid, roughly carved stone and flattened by a metal door built from already damaged hinges, with the sole purpose of kibbling your bones into powder, is way more painful than simply getting shot dead. It can also be argued that the corporal's actions were more effective in demoralizing the enemy, or discouraging them of any future heresies. That is, if the enemy was not a crazed chaos-worshipping cult, which it sadly was. Screaming, slashing, tearing, biting, they were at the top now. Worse, this whole uproar was sure to draw more of their kind from lower floors in no time. Although, truth be told, Kauri's unconventional weapon was not on the silent side either. Neither were his screams upon seeing his friend taken down with rusted cleavers. He roared mightily and jumped in front of the felled Pete. Door held like a shield to cover them both.
Where the hell are you? We're getting...
Get down!
A flashbang clanged on the stone floor, and in the next eye blink, Kauri sensed a shutdown from overload. Not seeing, not hearing. All he could do was cover on the ground, trying to shield himself, and Pete, from whatever was coming their way. At least, he knew the help was there. A Tertius squad opened fire on blinded heretics. Volley after volley of energy beams swept the tunnel in a seething red tide, purging it clean of its hated taint, and stopping only when Prima Squad reported their arrival from the opposite direction.
So that is why several positions were empty.
Seems like it all packed here, and we copped it.
Casper, rig the stairs double time, and you two with the flamers. I want you on guard.
Uttered Cyril while helping his men to pick themselves up.
Daniel, good? Kauri, are you bleeding?
Yeah, a bit, but Pete, he needs a medic. Now.
He is a medic.
Throne, this looks bad. Ruud, you're a medic?
Medic! Coming. Let me see. Not good. He's in a shock.
How bad?
Hard to say. Seems infected already. Poison seems likely.
You have antidotes, right?
Administering now, but I do not know what toxicant that might be. So I will clean the wound, stabilize him, and that is all I can do. The wound itself will not kill him. But if my antidotes are not the right ones, I cannot say.
Damn.
Would it help if we knew what poison it was?
I gave him a multispectral antidote. That's all I have here. Usually works. If not, well, we would need to get him somewhere with medical supplies for that knowledge to matter.
That's a long ride.
It is. Better call transport now.
Already done. Thank you, Doc. Please take Kauri and Dan and collect their blades for the case it's needed. Some of you might recognize the one.
Yes, Sarge.
Roger.
They are coming!
Are all cannons done?
Done.
Positive. Janusz, signal the Steel Legion. We will hold until the wounded can be moved. Then we evacuate them and move to Plan D.
Roger that, Sergeant! And just like that, with one Vox message, the whole might of Armageddon's Steel Legion 427 mechanized regiment was unleashed upon this vile nest of corruption. The Emperor's hammer finally fell on his foes, with the roar of countless engines powering its merciless swing, and the plain was soon shrouded in swirling clouds of industrial ashes. The tanks moved to the proper range, setting up a loose encirclement to allow passage for chimeras with their deadly cargo, and commenced the sweetest Imperial hymn of them all.
They're coming! Hey, move everybody! Get over here! Our cannons will shred those tin cans! Come and watch and shoot the survivors! Hurry up!
The defenders lazily took up their firing positions behind gunports, pointing a mixture of stubbers, autoguns, and the occasional lasgun at the approaching tide of steel and fury.
Good! Right about now, they'll start cracking for us. Just a second. Any second now. Our artillery seems to be even slower than I thought.
Mees, are you sure?
Damn those conkers! Are they asleep or what? I will personally...
Oh, they're not cracking. They're firing at us.
You don't say. Take cover then, you smelly excrement, and fight back!
Yes, but if they get any closer...
I know they will overrun us. Stay here and fight. I am going to yell at our artillerists very, very loudly.
Screamed the heretic who seemed to be in a position of some questionable authority. He darted out of the dungeon and up the stairs. Floor after floor he met the same confused looks. What is happening? Why are our cannons silent? What the hell? Finally, near the top, he met someone running in the opposite direction and calling for help.
Help! Everybody up here! They're in! Top floor! Guardsmen are inside!
Hey, what?
You deaf! They're on the top floor, the dogs! Killed everybody there. We are pushing, but they're holding up the stairs with flamers. We cannot get a jump on them.
That's...
Yeah, that sucks, no shit. We need more men, and some more frags, and...
I have a couple of those. You get more people. Go!
But the amount of present manpower was not an issue. He found that out as soon as he reached the second highest floor. The hallway was packed with swearing men and women of all shapes and sizes, each equally useless in the effort to get through the flame-filled shaft and take the cannons back.
Let me through! I have some throwing boom-boom on me.
The crowd cheered in response, and their dispersal finally started to speed up. Some disappeared into dungeons, while others spread themselves to the sides of the hall until finally, a wide enough passage appeared and led him towards the furnace that was the stairway.
You! Give me that belt!
Me? But my pants!
Nobody cares! Give it quick! We are under attack! Go, go, go! Good. Now to tie 3 frags to this end, hold the other, swing a little, and...
Accelerated by rotation and suddenly released, the payload swished between floors, hitting the upper ceiling in the process with a loud clang.
And... boom! Charge!
Hungry for blood and brawl, the mob rushed up the smoking staircase, ready to cut, slash, and skewer. If only they could reach someone. They could not. There was nothing waiting up there but a set of 2 flamers, now badly damaged by explosions. That was it. No fighting back, no bleeding body parts, not even a hint of... well, maybe a hint. One which may not have been discovered in a poorly lit hallway like this, if it wasn't for an unfortunate beltless warrior tripping over his loose pants and planting his ugly mug on the floor right next to him. Not sure what it is, he had enough common sense to not pull the string and rather alerted the whole band.
Hey, careful. Seems like tripwires here.
Where?
Right here. I am looking at it.
Damn! Nobody move! Do you see where it leads?
Not quite. Pass me some torch. Aha! Weird.
What?
It's not going across the tunnel as it should. It's more like along it. Seems to go under that closed door over there.
I see it now. Here's another end. Tied to a flame trigger. That's not a tripwire! Go, go! Storm that room! They must have been pulling it from there!
Storm the room they did. Mees, the one calling for the charge, was not leading it. Whether we call it cowardice, wisdom, or the simple result of another cultist standing closer to the target room at the time, the fact is, he did not see Yue shackled to the cannon in that room. He did not see the demolition charge strapped to it. And he did not even see Sergeant V-Scotch waving at a powerless mob while dropping from the outer rim of the cannon port. All he saw as the blast wave hurled him down one floor was explosions bursting from every single cell in his hazy sight. Cyril got clear of the window and pushed the switch, his light grin hidden by the high-altitude rebreather affixed to his helmet.
Detonation executed. Evac team, what is your status?
Evac team here. We breached the top of the hill, expecting extraction. Beat is getting worse, though. Seems like that multispectral was not enough.
ETA on the Valkyries?
Not looking too good either. Caught them at a bad point. They're not going to make a trip back here and then to base with what was in their tank, so they have to make a full circle first.
What about the fresh ones from the base? They would make it faster.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but there aren't any. Everything went with us. Nothing on standby, and the next closest base is too far. It would not help.
I see. Martin, just keep him alive.
I'll do what I can.
Thank you. Continuing Plan D, over.
Before rappelling down to the lower gun ports, he spared a quick look at the growling theater below. The final shells from the initial barrage fired by a tank order were still impacting in the middle section of the hill. These silenced any resistance that might be awaiting the troops there. The first chimeras were already rolling along the lower slopes of the hill fortress. They ambled along, unconcerned by small arms fire poured on them from the narrow gun slits of the bottom floors. The scorched middle portion, where the windows got wider to allow defenders to aim downwards, was their target. Those wider windows were large enough to allow a trooper to crawl inside. Any moment now, the Steel Legion would flood the place, sanitizing it thoroughly with fire and steel.
Elysians, we are coming in again. Second top floor. Should be quite empty right now, but stay sharp. In 3, 2, 1, go, go, go!
Mees opened his eyes as if it was the first time, hungrily gasping for breath.
Where? What? Damn, that hurts. Where? What? How did I? Attack. I was...
Finding himself crumpled and bruised, head ringing like a great cathedral bell, getting a grip on the situation was not an easy task. Yet somehow he managed. It took some time, but still, he picked himself up and correctly concluded that staying on this spot or moving higher was not in his best interest.
Down then. I must tell them our cannons are gone. Well, everybody probably figured that out already. What should... Mistress. She is our hope now. I must get to her, or I am dead. Maybe she can even turn this into an even greater offering for our prince. Would be nice to live to see the result of such an eventuality.
Hobbling along, swearing profusely, he was able to drag himself towards the lower floors. He did his best to avoid colliding with sporadic groups of confused reinforcements rushing towards already non-existent artillery. Looking back, he probably should have told them something. However, as mentioned, he wasn't his best self at the moment, and they stopped crossing his path soon enough. Most likely because at this point, the rest of the defenders were needed elsewhere. Regardless, the now empty tunnel allowed him to move faster, for which he was grateful. The sooner he can get to... Then the doors opened behind him, slowly, quietly. That was not any comrade of his coming from there. That much was clear. Luckily, the way it opened left him hidden behind the doorway. This allowed him enough time to start running and reach the passage, just as other cells started opening and more faceless killers stepped out of them, shaking blood off their combat knives. He fell down to the floor again, thankfully without a concussive blast powering the transition. He wasted no time lingering. His path led downwards. Along the way, he stopped at the hostage room. He contemplated the sudden idea of hanging himself among those poor souls. Perhaps he could fool the enemy into sparing him once the fort was taken.
Maybe I can blend in and escape in the guise of... No, we haven't lost yet. We still have her. Yeah, but she's in the sanctum, not fighting, so...
But something was not right here. Something was missing. More exactly, someone. There were a lot fewer bodies now than there were before. A filthy slime was painting the tracks through the open gate.
Ah, they already started assembling the sacrifices. Bad idea then either way.
2 more stairs and death was reaching for him once again. This time shrapnel almost took his head off, only barely missing him, and visiting swift doom upon another unfortunate soul running down the corridor to get more ammo.
Tight one. Move, damn you! Let me pass, you slimes!
Nobody cared. He elbowed his way along, forced to change courses several times to make his way to the ritual chamber. He barely escaped as a steel legion heavy weapons team laid waste to an entire tunnel section at once. The quiet notion of safety in numbers escaped his tongue as he slipped into a narrow sidewalk, unseen among flying body parts and the blood spray of massacred cult members. Quiet enough to escape the ears of the advancing guardsmen. However, it was not quiet enough to be missed by a pinkish tentacle crawling along the same crevice that saved his life. A translucent membrane covering the tip of that slimy mass reverberated just a hint differently, but that was enough. In an instant, the appendage was coiled around his leg, making its way higher and higher up towards his face. Finally, it stopped, the tip hovering in front of his wide-open eyes. Dripping smelly mucus all around, a crude mouth formed on it. It spoke in a hissing voice.
Miss? You were looking for me.
Yes, Mistress. We need your help, Your Highness.
You know I am preparing for tonight's deal? Are my followers so worthless they cannot stand on their own and grant me time needed?
I am deeply sorry. I truly am, for we are but unworthy worms. Behold, we will all be dead before tonight if we are to stand alone.
Yes. I noticed so much already. You are a disappointment.
But please, I will do anything in my power, just...
I know you will. I was looking for you too, for you seem to be quite compatible.
I am? Thank you,
Stop it! Just open your mouth!
Mees did not know why, but filled with awe and gratitude, he did as he was asked. In the blink of an eye, the tentacle darted forward, filling his gaping orifice and continued squeezing its way down his throat. It was not a nice view, seeing a willingly mutilated man choking on that slimy, snail-like lid. It crawled through his intestines and his skin alike, coiling itself around the helpless, shocked body of the disciple. His gaze alone was still his to command. It screamed in the silent terror of the ambushed prey. At last, when there was no more space to fill in this mortal flesh form, the tentacle tore itself into two. It did so just where the overtaken mouth of the disciple was still trembling in violent spasms. Where the new end was, the tentacle formed a mouth of its own once again.
Good. Now go and serve me well. I need time to nightfall.
Yes, I will.